All right, we already have 33 comments. Wow. This is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be interesting. Um, Rangers lose 5-2 to the St. Louis Blues, and I don't know what needs to be said. I really don't. This is three losses in a row, and it's just quite literally more of the same. It's quite literally more of the same. Do I need to even bother with the recap? Do I need to bother? Honestly, it's getting to the point where I'm a broken record. The Rangers, good offensively, couldn't generate enough, though, or couldn't bury, I should say, enough on Jordan Binnington for whatever reason. Because, yeah, let's just shoot at his chest. And then defense continues to be optional because this team does not know. All they do is turn the puck over. All they do is turn the puck over. All they do is play east west, and all they do is not know how to forecheck either. They don't know how to do any of that. So, yeah, I don't know. Adam Fox had his best game since coming back from injury. Didn't matter. Will Coley, the offense pretty much ran through him tonight. That's a problem. And, there's some nights where Panarin's going to have an off night, which was the case. He had some opportunities, couldn't bury them, but he had an off night. Guys like Lafreniere are going to have an off night. Guys like Trocheck are going to have an off night. And the question has been, time and time again for me, where is the depth scoring coming from? And it is quite literally came from nobody in this forward group. Quite literally nobody. The only other goal that the Rangers got tonight was from Adam Fox. Something needs to change now with the forward group. I don't care if anybody's going to say, stop overreacting, stop being so negative, stop this and that. No. If you can't see that they're scoring depth issues, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you because it's clear as day, and it's been clear as day through the majority of the season. It's becoming even more glaring now, and I get that's a bad I was out of the lineup. I get that. But realistically, come on. Am I supposed to believe that would have made the difference? And I'm not saying Mika Zibanejad isn't a player that could, change the game in terms of how he would score on the power play and the fact that the Rangers couldn't really score on the power play except for that weird goal where it went off of the boards and Trocheck scored it. I'm not denying that. But when you're not playing defense, when the rest of your lineup just looks lost out there, what am I supposed to expect? And the second line just didn't have a good enough effort tonight. They didn't. And there's just no depth with this team right now. There's just no depth. Nick Bonino, same old story. Jake Leschyshyn, I mean, it's laughable to even think that guy played tonight. Dude was invisible. Blake Wheeler constantly falling on his ass as per usual. You're just getting no depth. And the defense, horrendous. Igor looked shaky again tonight in the net. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much been the same song and dance that I've been saying. Pretty much been the same song and dance. And I cannot believe that some of the people online are trying to say, be grateful. A team, you should be grateful that they have only three losses in a row. The San Jose Sharks would kill for something like that. They have 11 game losing streaks. Be more grateful. I'm supposed to sit back and be thankful because the San Jose Sharks stink, but the Rangers are supposed to be a better team. Why am I supposed to feel sympathy for the San Jose Sharks sucking and give my team a pass? Because you know what? The Sharks, they're worse. Let me give the Rangers a pass for losing 3 in a row because the Sharks suck. I should be grateful. I'm sorry. I should be more grateful. You're right. I should be grateful. I'm just aggravated. I'm just aggravated. They could have won this game too. That's the thing that's even more annoying. They had opportunities to win, but nope. No scoring depth. Nope. And the Rangers had the lead first. Good shift by that Coley line with Brodzinski and Kreider. They kept pressing, and eventually Gaudreau would come on the ice, fired one, denied. Fox with the rebound chance, and he buries it. 1-0. What do the Rangers do? And they let up a goal right after, because that's just typical Rangers fashion this season. And the Blues, quick in transition. Fox hits Kyrou, and then he gets up the ice too quick. Too much puck watching on the play. And Thomas feeds it to him, and he snipes it. Rangers would allow it to be 2-1 not too long after. More puck movement by the Blues. This was on a power play, by the way, because Bonino took a horrendous delay of game penalty. Ryan Lindgren gets absolutely lost, and Kyrou just has a backdoor pass to tap it in from Pavel Buchnevich. I don't know. Second period, it's 3-1. Shen left wide open by Trouba. Fires it, denied, and then Lindgren leaves his man inside, and he's open to score. And then in the third period, it would be 4-1. Good D play from Buchnevich, because Jones with a horrendous pass. You could see why this guy is why this guy's in the press box more often than not, because the few minutes he got on the ice, dumpster fire, terrible pass, and Kyrou got a breakaway, net the hat trick. 4-2. When the Rangers got a power play, Panarin with a shot wide. Trocheck gets it off of the boards and buries it. 4-2. And Buch got the empty netter. I don't even want to go in depth with the rest of what happened. The Rangers had opportunities, but when are we going to stop giving them the benefit of the doubt for getting these said opportunities until we acknowledge that there's just too many guys who cannot score on said opportunities here? Like, that's the issue. Let's see. Who had the high danger chances for the Rangers? Let's see. Who got listed with it? You had 2 from Fox. He scored one of them. 2 from Lafreniere. Makes sense. He had a post chance. 2 from Kreider. He had a bunch of posts. This is at 5v5, by the way. Panarin had one. That makes sense. He had like 2 cross ice passes go to him. Shot late on one of them. Shot it right to Binnington's chest on the other. VC had one. That makes sense. Coley had one. That makes sense. Guys just didn't capitalize. And either way, you got to play better defense. And people are going to say, what are you talking about? There's 20 shots from the Blues. Yeah, and in total, the Blues alone from even strength had 5 high danger chances. They had 6 total. I have 20 shots. And I still feel like they allowed a lot more noise. It's exactly what Laviolette was saying after the last game. Way too much noise against them. Rangers had 21 high danger chances total. 12 in the third period alone. But can't score on Jordan Binnington. Is .905 save percentage, huh? Unbelievable. Everything tells you the Rangers could have won this game. But you allow that many lapses. You don't capitalize on your chances. You're not going to win. You take 3 consecutive penalties, too, might I add. 3 consecutive penalties before that Saad goal. That's what happens. 3 consecutive penalties. That's a problem. And then Carolina won too. Speaking of problems, Islanders won. That's a problem. The thing that annoys me the most, this is just unrelated to everything. The thing that annoys me the most is why is it that I'm getting punished with 3 out of my 4 sports teams now? Why do I have to be punished? I watched the Mets collapse in 2022, lose the division. Watched the Eagles this past year just now choke the division. Now watching the Rangers spiral down. They haven't choked the division yet, but for all we know, they will by next week or the week after. Why do I have to witness this over and over and over again? Is this a sign that the Knicks are about to be a play-in team too? Is that what I'm hearing? Because last time I checked, they were getting their ass kicked by the Mavs. They've made it a close game at least. I'm going to have to throw that on the side. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to be a little distracted here watching the end of the Knicks game. But I digress. It's like, why is it this way? Why does it have to be this way? But that's more of the selfish standpoint from me. I get it. They have injuries and everything, but there's got to be some sort of urgency from management to make a change. There has to be, because you're going to wait on Hedl? Is that the game plan? Is waiting on Hedl the plan? Freaking keep letting them get all the rebounds there. You keep, like I was saying though, it's just infuriating. It's just infuriating. We got a lot of comments in the chat. My goodness. And I get that it's not all about winning the division. I get it. But it's the fact that they're in such a slump that they had such a big cushion, and now they're in this big of a slump that they might just blow the division lead is just absurd. And yeah, this is the point. If you are dealing with 2 long-term injuries and it results in your entire bottom 6 being AHL caliber, you didn't do your job as a GM. And we applauded. I shouldn't say we, because there's some people that were skeptical, but myself, I'll admit, I applauded Drury way too much for this offseason and didn't look at it from a logical standpoint that Nick Bonino has so much mileage on him. Blake Wheeler has so much mileage on him. Tyler Pitlick, decent ad, I guess. Not too much mileage on him, but he's been passed around numerous times in his career. Barclay Goodrow's having the worst year of his career. And it's just been a revolving door around this core. I don't know. Shot quantity means nothing when they aren't high quality shots that make the goalie make a difficult save. I mean, it says they had 21 high danger chances. I don't know if I buy it. I feel like they had less. I tend to agree that they had less, but regardless, they had chances. They still did have chances. Like, they did have good chances, but didn't capitalize on them because of the fact that they have just incompetence in the lineup. They have too many AHL players in the lineup, and it doesn't matter when you just don't play defense. It just doesn't matter when you don't play defense. Yep, I agree with what everyone's saying. Too many lapses, too many east-west plays, too much puck watching, leaning and reaching for pucks, passes casually thrown in the center of the ice. breakouts were bad. I mean, you could continue, but it's pretty much just I could have just played the post game from last live stream, and it would have just been and just thrown this graphic up instead of the Vancouver one, and it basically would have been the same exact thing. It feels like. I'm sorry that I'm skipping through the chat a bit. I'm just trying to read as much as I could here. Maybe we'll do some calls if you guys want. Do you guys want to do call-ins? Just so I could actually get through what some of you guys want to say easier. Yeah, Matt. Yeah, the past 2 months we've been saying it. I know. Used to score first and then dominate, but now they can't hold an extended lead long enough to get into a lockdown defensive groove. They are forced to push for offense to catch up, but don't score. Yeah, I mean, they've been better at holding leads this year than in years prior, but still. Oh, I'm going on Sunday too, laugh for MVP. I'm going on Sunday too. What happened is that this team just decided I don't know what happened actually. But all I could answer is the team doesn't break the puck out clean. Team makes too many east-west plays at the blue line, and it all stems to them having defensive lapses and them not being able to even set up into the 1-3-1. Not going to win if you can't stay out of the box, give up breakaways like people give away candy on Halloween, and don't make the other goalie work for his saves. Yeah, I agree. I agree with what all of you are saying. I'm going to put the link in the chat so people could call in, though. Because I want to hear frustration. I want to hear from you guys. I'm curious to see what people got to say here. Laviolette's not getting canned. Laviolette's not getting canned. This is not a Laviolette problem. And I get that people might say it's a Laviolette problem because of the fact that they're seeing issues not be addressed. And it's easy to point the finger at Laviolette. We're 3 coaches in with this core. I think that at some point we have to blame the core here. It's not his fault, but management would do that. I hope management doesn't fire the guy, and the Knicks freaking can't complete the comeback. Unbelievable. Ugh, infuriating there. But yeah. It's not his. No, I already read that. How do they not capitalize on other teams? Sloppy play. Blues did not look good in that first period, specifically turned the puck over numerous times. Yeah, I agree. And that's kind of been a thing that Matt and I have talked about on the podcast multiple times. Jets and Nico agree with that, is that they just never capitalize and they never take control of the play, it feels like. Speaking of Matt, he's in the waiting room. I'll bring him in. Let me take this off the screen first. All right. What's going on?
I don't know. This core, man. I don't know.
Your mic's a little far from you.
Let me fix it. Sorry.
You're good.
Nah, just this core, man. I don't know. Like I see people are blaming Lavi now. It's like come on, we can't blame the guy. The guy's been here for what, 6 months, and these group of players have been here for so much longer. And yeah, like I said before, Galan and Quinn both deserve to get fired, and they weren't perfect, but eventually the players have to take responsibility. Eventually. And you know what? I said this last post game and on last podcast. They get eliminated early. Change has got to be made. There's got to be trades. Sorry, you got to break up this core.
Yeah. If they don't improve after the deadline, I'm not saying they're not going to make trades. I'm saying if they don't look any better after the deadline, with the moves they make, like they have to freaking cut ties. It's so infuriating.
I, I don't even trust them if they make the moves because it seems like whatever small additions they make to they make to the whole team. It just seems like they still have the same problems: inconsistent defense, can't dominate a 5v5. The core root is just it's this core, and until you change that core root, nothing's going to change. It doesn't matter what you swap out. It doesn't matter what additional pieces like. Listen, we all said guys like Wheeler, Benito, in like sure during July, like we were happy because we all thought okay, they're solid additions, but they came in and they didn't work. And they're just going to keep swapping these pieces out over and over and over again. And guess what? The same results are going to happen again and again. They have to do some sort of, whether it's they strip everything down, do another rebuild, or do a mini retool. But even again, I don't trust James Dolan to go through an actual rebuild because once
Yeah.
again, they'll strip it down and then they'll half-ass it. They'll go, oh, okay, here's a big time free agent. Big money will throw it in. Big money
I
will
still
throw it
feel
in.
they just need the retool. Like I'm not on the side where they need the fully rebuild, but a retool is at least needed, especially if things don't work this year. And yeah, Kreider's gonna go probably if they crap the bed. And that this is fair. I didn't agree with Laviolette's decision to put Blake Wheeler out there in the dire minutes, but I don't know. I don't really have an answer to that. The Rangers had 19 neutral zone turnovers, 16 breakout failures, and allowed 7 high danger rush chances, and only caused 2 St. Louis D zone turnovers with their forecheck. That's awful. Yeah, the forecheck looked horrendous, and it's kind of been an issue that I've been talking about that I think goes under the radar because of how much they have been sloppy with their east-west plays and breaking the puck out. The forecheck has just not been good enough. They don't have enough guys that really are good enough on the forecheck. And I agree, they need a Kachuk type, and they could retool because they have guys this year where their no move clauses / no trade clauses become modified ones. So they could hypothetically move Kreider and or Trouba this offseason, if they wanted to.
And it
So
and it's not a coincidence either. Look at all the first goal scored: forechecked, forced turnovers, and Fox ended up getting the goal. What didn't we do for the rest of the game? Forecheck, caused turnovers. And we didn't win. Like yeah, sure, we got chances, but again, can't finish them. And look, like I think the second line played well in terms of creating chances, but again, couldn't finish them. And like again, another thing, what have we been saying this whole year? If the second line's not going to step up and finish their chances, who who else is going to score?
yeah, who's gonna
Nobody
do it?
else.
Who's
We
gonna do it?
we have no depth scoring. And look, I know I know Miko's out today, but still, it's not like he's done anything this year.
Yeah, like you could argue he would have affected maybe the Rangers capitalizing on their power play opportunities more, and maybe it would have been a closer game. But like even then, are we walking away satisfied with them in a high event game with the St. Louis Blues where they played poor defensively? I mean, I for one would be happy to get the 2 points and be happy that they won the game if that were the case, but I would still have questions about the similar things that we've been talking about for the past 2 months with the defense and with breaking the puck out, the east-west plays, the forecheck. It just would have been the same questions still. And I'm not talking about Wheeler and Benino. Those guys could be put on waivers for all I care. All I care. They're walking after this year. I'm talking about if they're going to make actual changes. Like the real changes could come from either moving, like I said, Kreider, moving Trouba, Lindgren, even Miller could be a guy that's like flexible to move. Like there's guys that it's not like every single guy, and I get that it's kind of the larger cap hits that you can't move, but it's not like there's guys that are impossible to move. Like they could hypothetically go through a retool if they wanted to, but we'll see.
And there's one team this year that did it this past offseason, quote unquote a mini retool. It's the team that's first in the NHL, the Winnipeg Jets. What do? They got rid of Dubois. They got rid of Wheeler. They got pieces in Iafallo, Kupari, Velarde, solidified the defense. And look what's happened now. They play really solid, defense. I mean, they play really solid hockey, starting from the defense and up. And
they have four lines that
they can roll.
Yeah. Yep. And like I love Igor, but Hellbuck's making saves there too for them. Hellbuck's making saves there, and he's probably the favorite to win the Vezina at this rate. So, yeah, I don't know. And yeah, I'm agreeing with you guys in chat that if things sink again, they're gonna have to move.
Ooh, that's not good. Eichel,
poor guys.
Eichel just got hurt.
Oh no. Hope he's okay. I feel like we're focusing way too much on the far future. They're in first place, and their first 2+ game losing streak. They have their issues. How do we fix them now? Well, that's the thing that I was saying before. Is that I'm talking about that if it doesn't work with the moves they make at the deadline, then they have to go through this retool. But if you want to talk about the immediate future, they got to start by making some sort of trade, and by the end of this month, the latest. Like you have 2 long-term injuries, and you've got way too many AHL players in this lineup. That falls on Drury. That's unacceptable. You have so much cap space to work with. What are you doing here? You got to go out and get somebody. And I get that it might be tough to do that now because teams aren't necessarily declaring if they're buying or selling, but you can't possibly tell me you can't pry away guys from like I'm not a big Duclair guy, but you can't tell me the Sharks wouldn't move Duclair right now if they got a respectable offer. You can't tell me right now the Senators wouldn't listen to offers on Chychrun, Tarasenko, or whoever else they're selling off. You can't tell me there isn't that. There's a free agent market that they could utilize. They could get, I know people might question it, but Corey Perry's now available. Exactly. They could go out and get Kiefer Bellows, who I'd rather see in the lineup. They could go out and get other guys like Derek Brassard or just other guys that are on the free agent market that are still NHL caliber players versus what they're rolling out now. And it might not be the sexiest option, but it's an upgrade over what they have at the minimum for now. And that's all you could really ask for, is that they need to make some sort of changes, because they're not going to make a core change right now. You're absolutely right with that. Who was it that commented that? Mikey D. You're absolutely right. They're not going to make a core change now. So for the immediate and short-term solution, they got to get a 3C. A top line right winger is mandatory. They got to get at least 1 fourth line player. I would argue 2, but I think to be more realistic, 1. And I still argue they got to get a better defenseman that's more consistent, like a Jacob Chychrun or a Chris Tanev, Noah Hannafin, whoever it may be. Those are your short-term options, and you need guys on the roster to just be better in general. Like you need better play from Adam Fox. Had a good game. Hopefully this is the turnaround for him. You need better play from your goalie. Igor needs to be better. You need better play at 5v5 from Mika Zibanejad. You need Kreider. I mean, he had a lot of posts, but that dude looks invisible 5v5. I'm sorry, he does. Night in and night out, I never notice him until there's a power play. I just don't. They need better play from him at 5v5. That starts with getting a top line right winger, or break them up, because how many right wingers are we going to go through until we just realize they're probably not a fit together? The Wonder Twins, as Statboy Steven calls them. And then, yeah, like the bottom six guys, just a lot of them need to go. Blake Wheeler cannot play anymore. He can't. Barkley Goudreau, he had a decent game tonight. Still is not good enough. He still shit more times than not. Tyler Pitlick, like I mentioned, he's in and out of the lineup because he's not necessarily good enough, but like he's at least a viable option for now. And then you have Nick Bonino, who just continues to look worse game after game. And the biggest mistake I still feel with Blake Wheeler, I talked about this on Rangers Ice Brew earlier. If you didn't watch that episode, go check it out. How they are poorly utilizing Blake Wheeler. The dude's 37 years old, and you're asking him to fill in such a big role right now, playing the first line. He's not capable of playing those type of minutes. It would have made more sense if they went into the year splitting up Kreider and Zibanejad and having Kreider, Trocheck, Wheeler together on the third line, and then working your way out. Obviously, injuries dictate things, but when Zibanejad's back in the lineup, please, for the love of God, keep Will Cooley up on that first line. He was so good tonight, and I think that like that's your last hope until Kakko comes back. It's your last hope.
Yeah, him and VC tonight were my two standout players.
Yeah.
They were all over the ice for me. But yeah, I think they got to add Perry. And look, Perry's not going to solve all this team's problems, but you know what? He's going to come in. He's going to come in on the fourth line, third line. He's going to provide you scoring depth, and he's just going to be, an asshole. He's going to come in. He's going to forecheck. He's going to get under the team's skin. Everything that this team needs right now. And he's free. You don't got to give up any assets. And I mean, I don't know how much money he's still getting from Chicago since they did terminate his contract, but he's not going to ask for the $4 million that he got from Chicago.
He would probably take an 800K
deal. Yeah.
Yeah. In worst case, it doesn't work out. You waive the guy. And I know that like we said that about the Wheeler signing and a couple others, but like I think they'd be more inclined to waive Corey Perry and move Corey Perry than they are with some of these other guys for whatever reason. But yeah, like that's the type of player they need right now. We've been begging for a guy that is just going to be a pain in the ass and a forechecker. You got Will Cooley, and like it's really about it. Like I really, really wish in retrospect, and no, I said at the time it was somewhat of an overpay what Vegas did, but the extension made it worth it. The Rangers should have tried to both trade and sign Ivan Barbashev.
Yeah,
that would have been such a good fit, but that probably means in retrospect the Rangers probably wouldn't have Gabe Perreault or maybe Othman or maybe I don't know who they would have had to give up. They probably would have had to give up somebody good considering the return the Blues got for Barbashev, but it probably would have been more worth it. And yeah, that could have been although they did have 2 first-round picks, maybe if you get Barbashev instead of Tarasenko, and then Kane's the skill guy you get, that would have made more sense. But Barbashev would have been a better fit and probably the perfect fit for this team last year.
Yeah, yeah, Barbashev. Yeah, I do wish we ended up getting him because he like you said, he's everything like this team needs right now. Forechecks, can chip in with goals, and playing well in Vegas' first line. But it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it would have been a 2023 first. Yeah, but they had 2, so like I said, imagine they just got Barbashev instead of Tarasenko on that deal. And then the skill guy they got after all was just Patrick Kane. And then their lineup had Barbashev and Kane on the right wings instead. So I don't know. And them waiving Wheeler, I don't think would hurt their free agency attraction. There's no way that would hurt their free agency attraction. I doubt anyone's looking at, how dare them waive Blake Wheeler. It's not like there's teams lining out the door to sign the guy. There's a reason he only got 800K. And I know that he kind of had a preference to play for the Rangers because of his connection and friendship with Trouba because yay, friendships. But still, I'm sure that if a team wanted him badly, there would have been more teams that would have offered more.
No, yeah. I mean, teams around the league know that Wheeler's cooked and he's not the same player as he was before. It'd be a smart move right now if the Rangers decided to waive him.
Yep, which is why they won't do it.
Yeah,
And Lindholm would be a good fit. Lindholm would be a good fit. I agree. I think that AJ Greer too on like Calgary has so many good ads that the Rangers can make. AJ Greer would be a good ad. That's another guy that would be a pain in the ass, could chip in some offense for the Rangers.
but again, this is down to whether Calgary's ready to sell now because you can't force them to make a trade.
Yeah. Like I think the realistic option is a team like Ottawa. If they could get Matthew Joseph, like they gotta.
Yeah, like the trade you mentioned today. If they can pull that off, they got to do it
Yeah, I
now.
want to get I want to get thoughts in the chat on this one. Um, how would you guys feel if there was a hypothetical where, and I'm gonna explain my reasoning before you guys answer in the chat. Put a 1 if you do this deal, put a 2 if you don't. The Rangers get Jacob Chikrin and Matthew Joseph for Keandre Miller or Ryan Lindgren, whichever one that Ottawa would want, Capo Caco, and a conditional second. And my reasoning is with Jacob Chikrin, you're basically buying another year of Ryan Lindgren if it's him. If it's Keandre Miller, you're just getting a proven version of Keandre Miller who's better. And if Keandre Miller thrives in Ottawa and becomes what we were hoping here, good for him. But I just don't know if it would work here. And then the same thing basically goes with Kako. Joseph's basically what we want Kako to turn into at this point, since let's be real, we're not getting the second overall pick level play from him. If he becomes that in Ottawa, good for him. It's not going to happen here. So you get Joseph, who would help the team immediately, is a motherfucker to play against, and could chip in some offense. And then Ottawa gets obviously that draft pick as well, since the Rangers are getting the better players. 1 in the chat if you would do that deal, 2 in the chat if you wouldn't. I know that this would remind like my model of this trade was basically the Knicks trade that they just made to get OG Anunoby, where fans will hate it at the time, but I think in hindsight it would be a move that Ranger fans would absolutely love.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I know I told you earlier, but I'm all over that deal. Like what I said, Chikrin is a guy, you know what he's already. He plays consistent. He's good on both sides of the puck, both offensively and defensively. Which Ryan Lindgren, cool, he's okay defensively, but offensively he has no upside, and he could fit in nicely with Fox on that 1D pair, and they could both change. Chicken could take control offensively, and Fox could stay back, and then you could switch it. Fox could take the initiative offensively, and Chicken could stay back. And then, like you said, Joseph, he's an asshole to play against. Fat, good skater, gets on the forecheck, can chip in with goals, and same thing like I said with Perry. They need a guy like that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that this deal, like, I would prefer, if it were my choice, I would prefer Lindgren in the deal over Miller, personally, just because of Miller's potential upside there. But the question is, would Ottawa want Miller
Yeah,
more than Lindgren? But at the same time, you could argue maybe they do want Lindgren more, because you look at their blue line right now, they kind of already have guys that bring that type of element, that offensive element to their game, and not really more of a shutdown type guy. Like Shabbat obviously is good on both sides of the puck, but like, he brings that offensive element to the game. And then you look at a guy like Sanderson, who's also very good on both sides. Maybe they're more inclined to want someone that is just a shutdown guy, and he'd be utilized properly there because he'd be on their third pair, because he's obviously lower on the depth chart than Shabbat and Sanderson. So
yes, yeah, definitely Sanderson and Shabbat are definitely both in terms of better offensively. But I mean, you could argue they'd want Keandre Miller because I think with the right coaching. Not saying that Lavi's not the right coach for him, but just I don't know, maybe a change of scenery. He changed a couple things. He's able to become more consistent. You could mold Keandre Miller into a very good two-way defenseman because we've seen when he's on his game, he can both produce offensively and defensively. It's just the inconsistency that's always been his problem.
He's pretty much the RJ Barrett of this deal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's when he's on his game, it's like, yeah, this is the kid that we're hoping that he'd become and more. But then when he has the off nights, it's like, get this guy off the team. He's making pee wee hockey level mistakes. He's pretty much the RJ Barrett of the Rangers in that regard. And then Kakko, I mean, you can't really compare him to Quickly because he's not scoring like Quickly does at all. But he's definitely a guy that maybe in a bigger opportunity like Quickly's getting could develop into a better player. So
Yeah, but at
do
least
that.
at least like with Kako, like same thing with Keandre, given the right situation and the coaching again, you could mold him into a very good two-way forward. Not saying he's gonna put up anywhere from 60, 70 points, but if he's offering you good defense and you're getting 40 to 50 points out of him, maybe 20, 25 goals a year, you take that if you're Ottawa. And yeah, for me, I'd rather throw Lindgren in the deal, but if I'm Ottawa, I'm asking for Keandre.
That's fair. That's fair. And I want to see in the chat quickly. And um, for right wing, you could still address that because with this trade, it doesn't really affect their cap too heavy because of the fact that one Heedle's on LTIR, 2. A lot of the cap hits are similar. If it's Lindgren, they'll have less cap space to work with. If it's Miller, they'll still have they'll have a bit less, but not as much less since Miller's making 3.8, right?
I think so, 3.8.
And then Chikrin's making 4.6. So it's a little bit of a drop off. And then Kakko's making 2.1, or 2 or 2.1 for Kakko.
Kaki's making 2.1.
Okay. And then Miller's making 3.8. So it wouldn't be too much of a drastic difference. And maybe you could probably Ottawa to retain a bit on Joseph, like not anything too crazy, but maybe a bit, or maybe on Chikrin, who knows. But regardless, you address a right wing issue, and they could still probably get another right winger in another deal, and they could probably get a center in another deal. Like I think that what the Rangers need to do is make some sort of statement move. Like that's my point, is that this is the year we could do it and get the core to believe in it more. You make a move like that, that's a huge wake up. Like that's a huge wake up to the team. If I'm giving up 21, 22-year-old Kakko and Miller pre-prime years, I'm asking for a lot more than that. I don't know. Like I could see the argument maybe with Miller, and that's why I say I'd be more inclined with it being Lindgren, but I don't know. Like I really don't know what their value is right now. And Chikrin is a very valuable piece in himself. Like he's the best player in that deal. Jacob Chikrin would be the best player in that deal.
Yeah, I don't think you're getting any more value out of that deal because, like, sure, Keandre does have value, but it comes down to more Kakko's value. And right now, with the way he's played this year so far, his value hasn't gotten any higher. And if if the past 2 seasons, he was putting up 50 to 60 points, then sure, you could argue his value should have been higher, but he hasn't done that. He's only reached 40 points, so you're not going to get a great offer just for those two. And listen, I think that's already a great offer. And like I said, I take that deal right now.
Yeah, and the other thing that you could argue too with that is like, yeah, Kakko has potential, but if you get Matthew Joseph, you're basically buying extra years of that Kakko contract in a way where 2.1 to 2.9. So you basically have another right winger on your roster for only 2.9 million, and he plays up to that cap hit for another few years, that would basically be. Would you say that's basically what they lost in Jesper Fast in a way?
I think he might be a better Jesper Foss, to
I
be
did, yeah.
fair.
I was gonna say I think he might be better than Jesper Fast, but like you're basically getting a Jesper Fast player, and he's only 26 too. So like there is potential there for him to maybe be a little more than what he is. I don't know how much more, but potentially. Um, I don't know. Like I think that it would be I think it would be a fair deal on both ends personally, but that's just me.
And look, I mean, if you were to make that trade, right, you get Chikrin, you get Joseph, then you go out in free agency, you sign Corey Perry. Now, really, to finish it, you really got to add a 3C. And
Yeah.
I don't know how much more they could do with the cap, but if you could make those four moves, a a top pairing defenseman, a fourth line winger, you know, a middle six winger who could slot into the first line if anything, and a 3C, to this team, okay, maybe they might be able to do something. I just still don't trust this
Are
core
you
to
talking
get it.
about Corey Perry, like with that fourth liner?
Yeah, yeah, Perry, yeah.
I mean, that's really not even a cap loss because it's basically league minimum at most 800K, swapping with whatever 800K contract they have. So that's pretty much just like a swap right there.
Okay, yeah.
So you're pretty much not losing cap. Um, it would have to be like I know people are gonna be mad when I say it, but it would have to be a cheap top line right winger, and Patrick Kane's probably the cheapest top line right winger that would be obtainable in terms of cap hit wise.
Or
Whether he has interest or not in coming back to the Rangers, I don't know, but he'd be the cheapest at 2.7, unless you have another idea.
Well, I was gonna say his teammates an even cheaper option cap wise Sprung. He's only making 2 million.
Or
If you
Sprong,
if you want to retain 50%, that's a 1 million cap hit.
or Sprong.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I get the concerns with Heedle. That's why they got to keep him on LTIR for the year. And yeah, I get the impact that Kako had, but at the same time, one, remember the score of the game when Kako went down and got hurt. Second, remember as well that we're talking about a team that has like 6 AHL caliber players in their lineup, where at the time they were a little more healthy. And I don't know, like I get Kako's impact. I'm not discrediting him, but Matthew Joseph is a better player. He is, and he also brings a defensive side to his game, and he could bring puck possession because of the way that he forechecks. Like Ranger fans, you guys in the chat, if you're underestimating Matthew Joseph, you'll see why. If he becomes a Ranger, you'll see why we're hyping this guy up. He is so underappreciated, and if you look at the analytics, it's going to tell you he's not as good as it says, but he's on Ottawa. Like a lot of the numbers that you look at on the evolving hockey chart is because of Ottawa, not because of how Joseph is. And no, I don't want Blake Coleman. Sorry, go on.
And even then, I know there might be that concern. All, but what happens if you have to give him a bigger role? I mean, I haven't watched Ottawa lately, but I was watching them a bit at the beginning of the regular season. But at one time, he was on a line with I think it was Giroux and Stutzla, and that line was arguably Ottawa's best line. So don't worry about Matthew Joseph not being able to play with better players. He can play, and he fits right in.
He's currently centering, so he could play center too if he wanted, apparently. He's currently centering Kubalik and Tarasenko.
Yeah, I think when he was playing with Stutzla and the Drew, he was on the wing because I think Stutzla was taking faceoffs at that time.
If you're saying he's the second coming of Barclay Goodrow, I disagree because Barclay Goodrow never had this type of foot speed. Never. Barkley Goodrow never even got this type of role. Could we also acknowledge something too that people forget about Barkley Goodrow's overtime winner for the Sharks? Remember how he got like 7 minutes of ice time that game, and he went onto the ice and scored? Well, yeah, he was the freshest player on the freaking ice because he was riding the bench the whole game. So he's never had that type of foot speed, and he's never chipped in that type of offense. I don't think they're really comparable at all. I don't think so, at least.
Look, guys, trust me. Go throw on a Senator game, or even we play the Senators in a couple weeks. Go watch Matthew Joseph. He is an electric skater. The
I mean,
guy,
I noticed him
the
when the
guy's,
Rangers played him last time.
yeah. I mean, he's like I said, he's quick and he gets on the forecheck. Everything this team lacks right now: speed, ability to forecheck, and depth scoring. He gives you all three.
And yeah, Joseph hasn't played that many games because of the fact that the Tampa Bay Lightning were so good that they didn't really utilize him that much. Also, he did play every single game in the shortened season. That's another reason why he didn't play 60 games. If that season was a longer season. Also, he did play more than 60 games in 2021-22. You're just looking at his Tampa Bay Lightning games. He shared that time with Ottawa where he played more games than that. He played 69 games that year. Nice. And then he played 56 last year. I don't know if he had injuries or not. And then this year he's played 26 games. I don't know if there was an injury there or not, but and yeah, Goudreau was overhyped because of his line mates.
Yeah, but we had to throw in the bag because intangibles and two
Yep.
cups.
2 cups. Who's gonna ruffle feathers the most? I mean, Joseph definitely would be that type of guy.
Oh, I mean, if you bring in Joseph and Perry, you have three assholes in your lineup with both of them and Trocheck. So
Will Coley.
and Will Cooley as well. So right there, you have four guys, that are both good. All four of them good skaters. Forecheck can chip in with points, and they'll get under the opposing team's skin.
Yep. And you want Novak or Monahan? I'm not a Monahan guy at all. I'd rather Joseph just play the 3, see if he's truly capable of playing center. Or I'd rather them go out and get Lindholm or Jason Dickinson. There's a couple other centers I would rather them get
Did you
personally.
see Dickinson's goal last night?
No, I didn't.
Sick toe drag and ripped it top shelf.
Yeah, give me that guy. Statistically, they had the puck in their zone so many chances. The problem is they don't finish. They take bad angle shots. Yeah, Robbie. Yeah, they take terrible shots and they shoot it right at the chest of the goalie. Music to my ears. Troch needs to stop smiling every time. Troch needs to stop smiling every time he starts a scuffle. Hypothetical, if nothing gets done, what is Jory's future? I mean, if he does nothing at the deadline, this ship is going to sink and he's going to get his ass fired. Like, he's going to do something because he's going to get fired if he doesn't do anything. And I don't know. Like, if this team gets embarrassed in round 1 again, I could see him losing his job, especially if it's to a rival team, because that's really where Dolan won't like it. Dolan will not like seeing, especially if it's the Islanders or Devils, he won't like seeing rivals take the headlines. He won't like that.
Yeah, it's not only his job on the line, but it's some of these players, time in New York here on the line as well. Because if for me, if they get a round 1 exit or a round 2 exit, Drury's gone for me, and they gotta start, ripping out the core and trying to fix it. And the only one who's staying for me is right now out of the whole organization is Laviolette, because he deserves more than 1 year right now, and this is not his fault because this has been going on for past 2 coaches and for years now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm actually for letting Kako stay in the top six and fully focusing on the bottom six of the deadline. We'd have to see what he looks like first in the top six before I could sign off on that, and before Drury could probably sign off on that. Drury's done more good than bad. I'm not dumping him yet. Aren't they in first place? Lol. Yeah, well, they might drop out of first place first of all after starting the season 18-4-1, and now they're like 8-1 in their last 17. So they're starting to slip, and this is under the hypothetical that they do get embarrassed in the first round. I'm not saying that he's going to lose his job if they go far or anything, but if they lose in the first round, I don't think Drury's keeping his job, especially if they get embarrassed or lose to a rival. I just can't. I can't see Dolan not hitting the panic button there. It's the most Dolan thing ever.
Yeah. Also,
And
man, with these people saying on Twitter like, "Oh, be grateful, the Sharks at
oh
211
god,
game losing streaks." I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, did did we not coming into this year have cup aspirations? Aren't
yeah, I'm
you
glad the bar is that we're better than the San Jose Sharks.
aren't aren't you not the same people who has been hyping up this team for 2 months now and saying, "Don't worry about the issues, they'll fix it." So when this team keeps losing and they're not fixing the problems, why aren't you holding them accountable? Shouldn't we not be having higher standards? Is our goal not to win a cup this year? Because last time I checked, the San Jose Sharks are trying to be bad so they can draft Macklin Celebrini.
Yeah,
Two
I don't.
different two different situations. So don't even try and compare the two.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And yeah, they had a 10-point gap lead. Carolina's only 3 behind now. And that's not just a testament to how good Carolina's been playing. The Rangers have been struggling. And I like no. This is not Laviolette working them too hard. If anything, they've been praising Laviolette for his preparation that he's been giving them. Great that they're not utilizing it, it looks like. And this has been a problem for 2 months now, about 2 months. So this isn't something where it's like, oh, are they tired in January? Well, they would have been tired by December then, because the or early or mid-November, I meant. This isn't something where they're tired by now.
Yeah, so this core of players struggles, with a coach that holds them accountable. They struggle with a players coach. Maybe it's not really the coaching is the problem. Maybe it's the actual players. Maybe there might have to be a change or two there. So we can only blame coaching for so long. And like I said before, Galan and Quinn aren't innocent. They deserve to get fired, but these players have to be held responsible too.
Yeah, and I don't think they're held responsible enough. I don't. I'm sorry, but I guess fans we're not being accountable enough to this group of players. People were way harder on the core that failed to get Lundqvist a cup, and I'll tell you right now, I saw way more hard workers in that core than what I'm seeing in this team. And I know people are going to be like, well, that team, look at their roster up and down on paper. They were never good. Well, yeah, I mean, they still won a President's Trophy. They almost won 2. They probably should have got it in 2012 as well. And they made a Stanley Cup run in 2014. I saw a lot of hard working out of that core. And if that core could go through John Tortorella working them hard, this core is more than capable of Peter Laviolette coaching them and working them hard, because no coach demands more out of players than John Tortorella. This core is more than capable of working under Laviolette. And if the
If
Flyers can too and be in the spot they're in.
if you took that core and you swapped out Panarin for Naj and Stahl or Girardi for Fox, that team wins a cup or two.
Easily.
That team wins a cup or two
Easily.
because they didn't. Because while they were a great depth team and they had you know really good second lines throughout that whole roster, they didn't have that X factor, that game breaker to take them over the top. And you take someone like a Panarin who's great shot, great playmaker, Same with Fox. Good defensively, good offensively. If you put those two on there, easily they have a cup or two.
Yeah, 1000%. 1000%. Can't believe how I was so hype on this team's depth, and now the depth is just gone. Digging up turds from the sewer for game fill-ins. Really hope it has to do with really hope it has to do with cap for some big moves. Yeah, I mean, they have the cap space to utilize. They're just not doing it for some reason, but
Hey,
whatever.
did anybody see Jake Licardio out there tonight?
I noticed him at like one point, and that was him not being able to get a breakaway when and getting beat to a puck down the ice.
When before the game started, and I saw the tweets that they were going 11-7 tonight, I'm like, oh, so they're going 10-7 tonight, because he's basically just a fucking cone out there.
10-7, generous. I mean,
Oh yeah, but
Zach Jones barely counts
yeah,
too.
but at least even with them, they don't they don't do any. Well, actually no, they do bad things, but at least they're noticeable bad things. Like Lecision just does nothing out there. Like he just takes laps for cardio. That's about it.
Yeah, I don't understand why he was called up with shit stain. Yeah, with shit stain indeed.
Is there anybody else in the waiting room trying to get on?
Not at all.
No.
I was
Yeah.
shocked. We had a lot of people that used to want to call in, and now it just died down.
This upcoming West Coast road trip is going to be really fun. I can't wait.
Yeah, that's the thing that like is making me panic even more. Um, a bit is that like this was supposed to be the lighter part of their schedule. This was supposed to be the lighter part, and they have coming up. I don't know if the Caps will. Like the Caps always just play the Rangers hard. They have two against Vegas, and then come February, it is a pretty much a gauntlet outside of the Columbus games, and apparently Montreal might be tough, and then the Chicago game too shouldn't be too bad, but you never know. But like you have a gauntlet pretty much in February, and then March. If you think February is a gauntlet, just wait for March. That's all teams trying to compete for the playoffs outside of maybe the Blues.
Ooh. Leafs, Panthers, Blues, Devils, Hurricanes, Lightning,
Penguins,
Penguins,
Islanders,
Islanders,
Jets.
Jets, Bruins, Panthers, Philly, Avs. Ooh, that's going to be really fun.
March is going to be unreal. March is either gonna make us get our joy back or ruin our evenings. There's really no in between.
And knowing the Rangers, they're going to ruin our evening. So
Yeah. One positive is that Vegas and LA are also slumping. Well, if there's anything the Rangers love doing, they love getting teams out of slumps. So that's the only thing I could say that's not the positive to that is that the Rangers are good at getting teams out of slumps.
but there's a big difference with LA and Vegas going through their slumps right now because even when those two teams were winning, they were playing the right way. They were playing good defensive hockey and they were getting contributions throughout their whole lineup.
And
When the
Vegas has a cup.
Yeah, when the Rangers were playing good outside of that that the beginning of the season in October, the last 2 months, even when they were winning games, they weren't playing well defensively. They were only relying on the second line, for production. So, like we said, this stretch where now they're just losing games, it was coming, and they didn't choose to adjust the problems. Like I said, with LA and Vegas, they were playing the right way while they were winning, And of course, you're going to slump through a season. You ain't going to play perfectly through 82 games. But the difference was when those two teams were winning, they were playing well as well, and they deserve to win.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I don't really know if I have much more that I really want to talk about though on this post game. I think we pretty much addressed everything. If you haven't left a like on the stream, please do that. I really would appreciate it. Let's see if we can get to 50. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. We're on the road to 2K subs. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll be back at it again on Saturday for afternoon action against Washington, and then Sunday I'll be doing a bit of a later stream since I'll be at the game. Oh boy. We'll see you guys then though.